Gamers love a visceral weapon. Even when a particular shotgun or gunblade doesn't do a ton of damage, we'll gladly use it if it feels and sounds amazing to shoot. Some games go a little overboard with weapons though. These 15 games serve up the wildest ammo and projectile concoctions we've ever seen, taking overboard to the next level, to put it lightly. Interestingly enough, these projectiles are quite useful in combat in addition to their wacky novelty and humor. Toilets, Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2 helped revolutionize the way physics work in video games with its versatile use of the Havoc engine. Filling up trash bins with cans is cool and all, sure, but the gravity gun really took physics to the next level. Just about any physical object in the environment could be used as a projectile with the gravity gun's pickup and punt functionality. While saws and explosive barrels proved the most deadly objects to use, we really couldn't help shooting toilets at foes, I mean, come on. Our excuse for using a toilet was the flushed achievement, but the hilarity of it was often the real reason, come on now. To Judith Mossman's disappointment, we couldn't help but treat the gravity gun as a toy throughout Half-Life 2. Landshark, Armed and Dangerous. This 2003 LucasArts third-person shooter may have been a repetitive slog at times, but it had humor by the bucket loads here. The Monty Python and Star Wars parodies were great fun, but the Landshark gun takes the cake as the game's craziest thing out there. Just shoot at an enemy and a live shark tunnels through the ground, popping up below your opponent to eat them alive. Armed and Dangerous may not be remembered for its level design or anything, but the Landshark lives on as one of the wildest things shot at enemies in games. Pixels, Ratchet & Clank 2016. How could a Ratchet & Clank game not make it on this list? While it was a given, what was difficult was actually deciding which weapon earned it a spot. I really couldn't resist the pixelizer from the 2016 reboot, it's so good. As the name suggests, this handy shotgun variant morphs enemies into a pile of 2D pixels. The icing on top of that is they crumble apart like Lego bricks when defeated by the shot. Drill Bore, Turok 2. It's hard to beat the cerebral bore when it comes to game weapon brutality. A combination of a homing device, a saw, and a clamp, the cerebral bore tracks enemy brains and latches onto them, and, well, I mean, you know the rest, it's a lot. Turok 2 shows a surprising amount of blood and gore as the bore tunnels through enemies' skulls. While it's certainly a satisfying weapon to use, the cerebral bore is one of the game's slower weapons due to the lock-on and scanning time. Dubstep Wubs, Saints Row 4. It's a party and a gun. Make the world dance to your beat and fear the power of your wubs. That's the in-game description of the dubstep gun, and, well, yeah, it fits the bill. Not only does it look like a turntable, but it literally shoots streams of dubstep energy at opponents. What's even more hilarious and neat is the specific music track changes depending on the outfit worn. Argent Energy Plasma, Doom 2016. Every Doom player knows the destructive power of the BFG. It's the most notorious weapon in the series for a good reason. And it's handy to boot given that it's one of two weapons in Doom 2016 with its own dedicated button instead of the weapon wheel. Doom 2016's iteration of the BFG uses green plasma made from Argent Energy, dealing up to 6,000 damage to an enemy. It's a lot. This thing can vaporize and kill any enemy in a single shot, as long as it's not one of the bosses, unfortunately. The splash damage is also pretty large, catching groups and stragglers in the explosion radius very easily. You know you've just acquired the best weapon when that BFG division music starts playing. Swords, Borderlands 2. Among the thousands upon thousands of gun variants available throughout the Borderlands games, the Sword Splosion gun takes the cake as the most ridiculous. This E-Tech shotgun is only available in the Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep DLC from Borderlands 2. Not only does it shoot an exploding sword, but it spawns other smaller swords that explode, spawning even tinier swords. It's perhaps the most bizarre take on weapon designs I've seen, and yeah, I love it. Rainbow Farts, Red Faction Armageddon. Instead of your conventional super weapon being rewarded upon completing the game, Red Faction Armageddon gives players a unicorn gun that farts out rainbows. I can't help but laugh. It's not just a silly novelty though, as the Mr. Toots gun provides some of the most damage in the game with its long-range, high-powered laser shot. Enemies having the privilege, we'll say in quotes, to be destroyed by Mr. Toots explode in a confetti of rainbow shower to just top it all off. Chef kiss. Skunks, Oddworld's Stranger's Wrath. Now, I've always appreciated Stranger's Wrath for its unique take on the Wild West bounty hunter shtick. It really fits the bill, playing as a sort of warped Jim Henson version of a classic western. The third-person gunplay is pretty fun, but the live ammo is particularly charming here. Each area has its own ecosystem of rodents and mammals that Stranger can pick up and use as crossbow ammo, for better or worse, for them at least. And those adorable but smelly skunks are my pick due to their cuteness and application. Shooting these skunks at enemies briefly immobilizes them, causing them to vomit uncontrollably. Needles, Halo. While the famous M16 pistol from Halo 1 is undoubtedly the most effective weapon in the game, the Needler was the most innovative and intriguing. A Covenant creation, the Needler pins enemies with a barrage of energy needles that explode after a few seconds of insertion. They're like an arrow with a timed explosive. Just shooting a few needles at enemies does peanut damage, but spam that sucker onto your opponent and you have a chained explosion that kills them within seconds. Water, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The water pistol is one of many guns that can be developed on the mother base, and it's far from the novelty item that it initially seems. Besides its utility distracting and potentially blinding enemies with splashes of water, it can actually short-circuit electronic equipment. But did you actually know that the water pistol can even defeat a certain boss? That's right, the man on fire can be defeated by spraying a ton of water from the water pistol directly on him. It takes about 80 or so hits, but once you take him down, it'll be the ultimate humiliation. Plungers, Luigi's Mansion 3. The original Poltergust 3000 from the first Luigi's Mansion defined the game's premise and concept, with its Ghostbusters-like vacuum gameplay. Well, the Poltergust has gone through some impressive upgrades since Luigi's first haunted house visit. Luigi's Mansion 3 introduces a bunch of new abilities and features for the Poltergust G00. The funniest happens to be the suction shot, which involves plunging a ghost in the face and pulling it with a rope. The traditional use of suction shot is to break objects apart for easier suction, but honestly, we can't stop shooting plungers directly at the enemies. Thunderjaw, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Rift Apart is the second and final Ratchet & Clank game to make it on this list, and of course, it's the Rhino. The Rhino is a returning legacy weapon, but the 8th iteration goes a step further, summoning objects from various PlayStation games. To get this ultimate weapon, players must find every spy bot in the game, but your reward pays off though. I mean, who doesn't want to smash enemies with Sully's plane from Uncharted, Jak and Daxter, or a freaking Thunderjaw from Horizon Zero Dawn? Okay, technically you're just dropping these objects from a portal and not shooting them, but you're still shooting to open the portal, so yeah, it counts. We're gonna count it, don't worry. Junk, Fallout 3. Like Half-Life 2's gravity gun, the rocket launcher shoots a variety of environmental objects at enemies. What makes this weapon unique is Fallout 3's emphasis on junk items. There's a ton of junk within the Capital Wasteland, and most of it can be loaded into the rocket launcher. It's a tad disappointing that every junk item has the same damage output, but the variety of stuff you can shoot at opponents is impressive nonetheless. Bullet Bill, Mario Kart. Bullet Bill is the oldest object on this list, with its first appearance in World 5-1 of the first Super Mario's game from 1987. It wasn't until Mario Kart Wii, and technically Mario Kart DS, when players could finally harness the dread power of Bullet Bill on unsuspecting friends. The kart turns into a gigantic Bullet Bill, auto-piloting through the course at top speed, catapulting others to the back of the line. That is, until they smash you with one later in the race. Good times. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.